everyone. This is David's question. Um, what is one player that Dallas needs to turn into a Pro Bowler this year? Well, on each side of the ball. So pick an offensive and defensive player. Do you want to do no obvious picks, right, David?
Yeah, we can't do like Dak, stuff
Yeah.
like that.
No Parsons.
And no Parsons, yes.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Well, I'll go with my go-to number one, and I think a lot of people will agree. Tyler Guyton, I think needs to be a Pro Bowler for us to have a successful offense, even depending on how the running game goes. We need Tyler Guyton to be a stud and to be a Pro Bowler because if we can get him at the left tackle spot, securing it, that O-line's golden. So that's my offensive pick. Defensive pick, there was a lot of different players. Um, you know, okay, I'll say who I want, but who I'm going to predict who will help the most. I want it to be Trayvon Diggs so bad because Diggs is my guy. I want him to come back to his former self and be just dominant again, which I think he will be. I think he's going to come back. I'm not too worried about him. But who I think needs to be a Pro Bowler on that side of the ball is Kenneth Murray because right now he's the only big body, quote unquote, run stopping player. And I could have said Mozzie, but I don't believe in him. So I think Kenneth Murray needs to also come back to his former Pro Bowler self, and if he can come in, stopping the run, those fill two gaps on each side of the ball.
Nice. I
I
like it.
I I agree with both of those. I'm gonna stay on the offensive line, and I'm gonna go with BB. I think him being a Pro Bowl center solidifies the middle, and makes Dallas a running team. So I'm gonna say BB because that's essential. I do believe Guyton, but I think he can play mediocre and not make the Pro Bowl for Dallas to be solid. Um, Now, if he becomes a Pro Bowler, I think we go to the Super Bowl. But I'm going to go with BB has to be one of the top centers in the league. Um, I was going to say Pickens, because if Pickens becomes a Pro Bowler, um, that means I would assume CD's a Pro Bowler, and then you have two. That just tells us that everything's clicking if Pickens. But I'm gonna be a lame-o and go with BB. And then on the offensive, I'm gonna go with Osa, just because of the defense and what how they're saying they're making it. I do agree linebacker has to be, but I'm gonna go Osa. Uh, has to be a Pro Bowler for this defense to be moving. So.
I like that pick.
You always take my guys,
I'm
Travis.
sorry.
No, BB was the guy. I think that he is key. Because he realistically can be one. Because I mean the I guess my question was kind of double fold of we need that person and a person that realistically could get there. I don't think Guyton can get there quite yet. Um, I thought now they are saying that he's looking fit, that there are some good reports recently. Uh, Schottenheimer made a point to make a compliment about Guyton, which I think needed to happen because everybody was so dogging him, kind of like everybody's dogging Trayvon Diggs. um, but BB is the guy. Now, since Travis said him, I'm going to go. I had a different route, and that would be because I feel that our receivers are already going to kill it. So the reason that I really am worried about because he's dipped is I think Ferguson has to break out and get back to kind of a Pro Bowl status type, a tight end. He's got to pick it up. We need him, to kind of go down the seam, Dak's security blanket. So I think that Ferguson has to be that guy. And then on defense, I think Peyton's gonna like this one. Um, I I think Leofau.
Oh,
Nice.
And so Leofau has to kind of now, the in these OTAs, there's a lot of cool stories that are coming out. But I mean, think people are not at full speed yet. And I just think that, because Overshown's out, I think Damone Clark, he has to pull himself out of the doghouse a little bit more. Um, Kenneth, who did you say, Murray?
hmm.
I think that he'll be okay. But I think that Mr. Hair on Fire, young guy, if he could become a Pro Bowler, even close to it, just like right on the cusp
Hmm.
of being even an alternate replacement guy, that our team will really flourish.
I like that pick a lot too. Um, I will say this real quick. Looking back at last year's Pro Bowlers, it is insane and it's so rigged that DeMarvion Overshawn did not get, like, I know he got injured, but for him to not even get a nod at the big is ridiculous the way he was playing before he got injured. Um,
Right.
because I don't think there may have been two other linebackers playing better than he was last season. So it's ridiculous that he got robbed like that.
I'll also say on top of what you're saying that Overshawn, if healthy, he would have been my Pro Bowler pick because that guy is just looks like he's on a different level than everybody else.
Hmm. Well, if he can
Yeah,
come back from this, go ahead.
go ahead. You go.
I was just gonna say if he can come back from this injury, I think he already is a Pro Bowler pick player.
Well, he is our defensive MVP. Everybody, obviously, um, geez, my brain's dead. Who's our beast guy at defensive end?
Parsons.
Parsons. Yeah, thank you. He's obviously no brainer, but Overshown, he kind of runs the whole thing now,
Hmm.
and he's a superstar. And they said, people have been reporting. They said he looks like an Avenger. They go, have you seen that guy? And he's like bulked out. And yeah, he's the heart and soul, kind of like our Michael Irvin, of the '90s on offense. He's like the heart and soul of our defense. It's crazy that he's that good.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna. I've never been. I never liked the idea of players wearing zero, but he's gonna. It's gonna look real good on him when he's playing next year wearing zero. Yeah, I think he's gonna come back. I think to your point, David, if him and Leah Fowl turn into Pro Bowlers, oh my goodness. I mean, that's gonna be insane. But we'll jump to the next question. Unless you guys have any final thoughts.
Nope.
Alrighty. Number two, kind of always every week for Dallas. Are we contenders or pretenders? Um, I'll say this. Um, I think talent-wise, we're contenders. Um, and I have a lot of faith in this team than I did a month ago. I still have doubts about Schottenheimer. Um, So I almost think it's all always hearing about all these things he's doing in camp. It's almost just more like, I don't know. It just seems like chatter to me. But I think we have the talent. I think we have almost all the pieces except maybe one or two to make a deep, deep run. So for that reason, I will say, and based off our schedule predictions, I will say we are contenders.
Um, I will say that my two caveats, the two things I worry about is the running game and uh nose tackle who can stop the run.
Hmm.
Two of my major concerns.
Yeah.
Talent wise, I think it almost blows my mind that just because they added Pickens, Dallas goes from uh being getting kicked around by the Giants to none of the experts were saying they'll go to the Super Bowl, but we all know that that made them a contender, and it's kind of shocking that one player does that. Now, health is everything, but I'm gonna stay. I can't not say they're contenders. So I do have worries, but I'm gonna say if Dallas is injury free and does well with injuries, Dallas is a contender.
And I agree. And so where, how we always get in is through our division. Um, the Nobody really kind of repeats as NFC East. It's just kind of a weird kind of thing that's been happening with our team. Um, I don't believe in Washington. There was like a computer analysis thing that says that we're going to be third in our division. And, and so I have I'm not like going Super Bowl or anything like that. I'm with Travis on the concerns about defensive tackle and running back, a little bit at tight end. And, you know, sometimes the corner to start the season because we don't have two healthy guys, but and a little bit of safety. But the thing that I look at is, going back to the draft, we were so obsessed over what's his face, McBride. What's his
McMillan.
name now? No, I don't want to even remember his name. And and so um, we were just like, we gotta have him. We need that two receiver. And I'm not gonna lie to you. I am like over the top excited about Pickens. He's already meshing. Him and CD Lamb are like showing that they're like best friends. And that's what Pickens needed. He respects CD. CD dropped a deep ball. I don't know if you heard the story. And he had to do push ups. Pickens sprinted down the field and did push ups with him. Uh, I just, because of, I mean, like Travis even said on it, that he changes our whole team. And as much as we rip on Dak, we just rip him and we rip him and we rip him. I mean, he really has. I mean, he did the year that we had Amari and CD, but CD was a rookie. Um,
Mhm.
and we had Gallup, and you were kind of stacked at receiver and all. But man, CD is in his full glory. Pickens is pretty much in his full capacity. These guys are elite. And I mean, just that alone. It's okay. And so here I'll get off of that piece. But also our defensive line, even though our defensive tackles are not good, we are loaded at defensive end. We are loaded.
Yes.
And we can, the way we play people, if our offense is clicking and defense, they're trying to catch up, our defense, they can't run against us. They're going to have to pass against us. And then that's when we pin our ears back, and that's when our defensive ends will flourish. So, and then here's my other thing. Back to the NFC East argument, and then I'll be done. Is that they're saying the two weaknesses. Eagles' weaknesses is still their secondary. The Washington's weakness is their pass rush, and so we have loaded up our offensive line, and we have picked up Pickens, and we can go hard against their weaknesses.
Yeah.
Those weaknesses hard at them. And so I say, yes, we are contenders.
Yeah. And I'll jump back to what you said about Pickens, David. I don't know if you guys saw the video. Someone was interviewing Russell Wilson and asked him about the Pickens thing, the trade and all that. And obviously, he says he's not happy because he's a Giant now. But he was talking
Right.
about basically how he thinks and believes that Pickens is, and as we've seen, is just a very misunderstood guy who's passionate about the game. And number two, genuinely wants to be and can be the best to do it. Because he was saying there's catches that even all pro receivers like Justin Jefferson and these other greats don't make that he makes. Um, and like you said, David, I mean, we have two guys that are quite literally in their prime. Um, and yeah, if we can get it together this year, it's going to be real scary. Any other thoughts?
Loving it.
No, go ahead, David.
Go Cowboys.
Yeah.
I don't have anything else.
All right. Well, we will jump to number three. Will Shoddy be our first year head coach to take us to the playoffs? I was reading some article that basically said we've never had a first year head coach that we've hired take us to the playoffs or something. Um, I'm just gonna say it blunt. No, I don't think he will. I mean, there's a possibility. I don't know. Until I see it, I like everything around Schottenheimer. I just don't necessarily believe in him. That video I sent you guys of Michael Irving, that gives me a little bit more hope, saying how, and he pointed out a good point. He's a guy who has been overlooked his entire career, his whole life, always kind of been in the shadow of his dad, and he's finally getting his opportunity, and he's taking every ounce of it. He's not letting anything to risk, which gives me more confidence in him. And I think he's a good dude. Um, I don't know. I'm still very sour about the fact that we hired him. I still can get that taste out of my mouth. I know everything sounds great about him, and I hope he's amazing. And we found this diamond in the rough. But until I see it, I'm not going to get all excited about a guy who made me want to throw my TV out the window. So, um, yeah. So short answer, I mean, yes and no. Maybe I think there's the team. I'll just say yes because I think we have the team to do it.
I'm gonna come out with a strong yes. The more I see this guy, the more I get excited. None of us were happy about when he was chosen, but one thing I watch when you watch quarterback, different types of coaches are either copycats, and all they do is copy people, and they are exposed pretty quickly. I think this guy has listened to people. He's not afraid to try things. I love how he has the team moving. He looks confident. He doesn't look scared. He is putting everything into play that I think he wants to. Um, it seems like the Joneses have trust in him, and so I just the more I hear him talk, walk, and the more I watch him take control of the game, and that I just, I mean, needless to say, I was a McCarthy guy. I wanted McCarthy again, but hearing just the paranoia of McCarthy, and you don't have that with him. I think he knows who he is, um, and he knows he's been passed up, so he doesn't care. He's just putting it out there. I'm very excited about him. The more so I am emphatically he is right now giving us the best chance. I will even go this far, and you both will gasp. I would take him over Ben Johnson right now.
Wow.
So that's how much I like what he's doing.
Wow. Hot take.
David can't.
That is, I'm speechless. um, I will say this: I wanted Ben Johnson more than any coach out there, but now that he's with Chicago, I hope he fails. But but I'm not gonna lie, I wanted him. I think I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna start off with the negative. Uh, and so in some ways, Schottenheimer is no different than Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
They seem like they're carbon copy the same. You know, they run around, you're like, you're running around showing some energy, rah, rah, rah. And so, and so sometimes I'm just gonna go, okay, it's kind of feeling the same.
Mm-hmm.
Jason Garrett, we were all pumped up when, and Wade Phillips, where Jerry Jones regretted pulling the rug out from Wade Phillips and throwing Jason Garrett in there. Um, he brought some energy and all of that stuff, but then just really couldn't get us there. 2014 was the year he should have got his Super Bowl, but it didn't happen. So that's the one negative. The other negative is I felt like the Cowboys brass was just extremely lazy in the coaching process.
Mm-hmm.
Just still pisses me off. And we were in this black cloud. And so all right, that's all the negative stuff. So let's flip over the positive. Um, I do like how he talks. He's a good politician. He's very very eloquent in how he's doing that. In all of the reports on him, is that he's running to each area. They said like he just sprints onto the field. He's high energy. Now I get it. You just got the best job of your life, even if he got fired in 2 years, going, I'm a coach to the Cowboys. But the big deal that what he did, and like Travis said, he didn't go, I'm gonna bring in my buddies, like McCarthy did. He didn't do that at all. And that's a person that is confident in themselves. And he is bringing in people, that he knew that he researched, but some people he didn't know that well. And so he's trying to bring in all of the best types of people. And so, and I'm not saying that, boy, was I one of the greatest little league coaches of all time. But like when I coached Brienne's softball teams, I'd find people that knew how to teach pitching, and I would bring in people, and I was like, I'm going, I'm not the guy. I felt like I was a GM, I wasn't a coach, and so I'd always bring in little coaches that knew the nuances of things. And I feel like that's what Schottenheimer does. I think he knows how to coach because he's going to run our offense. But and there's I think he was biting his lip, with McCarthy, even though he was grateful for McCarthy for bringing him in. Um, but I think because he brought in all these people, and then this is the last thing I'm going to say is that so Overshone loves this guy. Like Overshone loves him. And who was it? Who's my guy? I can't even remember my guy. Who's my guy safety, Peyton?
Oh, Juanye Thomas.
Wanye Thomas. So Wanye Thomas was like going, man, football is fun again. And Overshone said, I told you so. And it's because of Schottenheimer. And he one person this is these are the Cowboys writers, and they said, remember that scene on Remember the Titans when they're learning that dance?
Yeah.
They're learning that dance. They said that's how this team feels. That's how the practices are. They go, it feels different. And he's talking about this culture. There's kudos here now. Okay, we haven't gotten to the season. If we only win 4 games, we'll go, yeah, it was a bunch of crap. There's Jason Garrett.
Yeah.
But if he wins like 10 games and this team is playing hard, then kudos to him. So I'm gonna say yes. I'm gonna say yes on playoffs.
I I'll say this because at the end of the day, when I look at the team, what is stopping us? I know we shouldn't be knocking on him, but it's Dak. That when I look at the team and I look at what over the past 10 years, why have we not made it? Dak Prescott. We've gone through, this is our third head coach. We've gone through four different offensive coordinators. We've had top defenses. We've had top receivers. We've had top run games. He's had every different scenario, and it always comes down to Dak. He fails us in the playoffs. So I will say this. If Schottenheimer can somehow, I don't think he's fixable, but if he somehow can figure it out how to temporarily fix him in the playoffs, and we win at least two playoff games, I will publicly apologize for everything negative I've said about Schottenheimer and take back everything. But because that would be pretty awesome. But anyways, I'll just say that.
Real quick on that note, though, Peyton.
Hmm.
The difference between Schottenheimer and McCarthy proved it. If I believe that is if Dak is just not getting it, they're going to put in Milton.
I hope
I
so.
firmly believe that. I firmly believe that he's going to put the best person in. He's not going to sit there and be hanging on by a thread for his job like McCarthy did. This guy, I think he likes shakeup. I think he likes being a team guy or a player's guy, but he's not afraid to shake things up. If you're not producing, I gotta find somebody who will.
I
But
hope you're
I
right.
do but I, with that being said, I do. We all know Dak is probably a top 8 quarterback in the league. He has talent. If you protect him, I think Dak's going to have an amazing season. But I do feel that Schottenheimer isn't afraid to pull the ripcord where most coaches aren't.
I hope you're right.
And say our we do say we get a bunch of weird injuries, say Dak tears his other hamstring, whatever. Um, it's a really good draft next year for quarterbacks.
Yeah, that's true.
Nice draft. Nice draft.
Mhm.
Archie, man.
I would love
Yeah.
to get Archie Manning just to piss off the Giants.
And the Saints.
All right, let's see. We got about 6 minutes left. Let's see if we can get any. Um, all right, we'll save number four for next week. It's a little bit longer question. So we'll jump to number five. If you could make one realistic trade, who would it be and who would it be for? Um, these are just players on the trade block. But obviously keep it realistic. Let's try not to go too high of like a draft pick per se. But um I think realistically, I want that I forgot his name. That D tackle from the Lions.
Reader?
Um who?
DJ Reader.
Yes, yes. I know he has that big contract and everything, but I think he would be the perfect addition to bring in and help stop the run. And I think he's a realistic option. Um, so and I think that's our biggest hole. I think even the second hole to that is our running game if our running backs can turn out. But I have a lot of faith in Javante. So when I look at our team, our really one hole is a big nose, which I think Jay Toei is going to be amazing, but he is a rookie. So I think Reader would really just plug that gap. So that would be my realistic trade. And I would give hopefully only like a six and a Shoemaker.
I think they have to release him. I
Do
don't think
they?
the Lions can keep him.
Well, that would be even better. I'll still go with
Um,
Shoemaker though.
I will stay with to give David the bulk of the time. I am staying with defensive tackle. I want to stop the run, but I am going to trade two seventh round draft picks for
Vita Vea.
From Tampa Bay. Two Polynesian guys. He's going to help develop that defensive tackle position. That's who I would be excited to feel I would be over the top with him.
He would be really exciting.
Okay. I think you guys covered it on the defensive tackles. I agree. I want defensive tackle more than anything, but I will say let's make a trade for a fairly young guy, not Chubbs, Nick Chubbs, um, Brees Hall of the Jets.
Oh.
I would say we could trade, you know, all of our running backs for him. We can trade Schoonmaker. We could send, um, seventh. I'd trade a fifth. I'd trade a fifth for him. We seem to get compensatory picks, fifth round picks all the time.
Mhm.
Brees Hall. I think he'd be realistic. I think he has had some injuries to where they would be willing. There'd been talk about it, but I think that's the one thing that we talk about, how we're not sure if Javonte Williams is going to do it. We're not sure. Everybody's kind of anti Miles Sanders, even though there's been some positive reports on him. And then, but everybody feel great about Brees Hall.
That would be awesome. He would take this team to a new level.
Yep.
I'm surprised you didn't go with Pitts, but I like that.
I,
That's
I was going to, but I think we all hashed that one out.
true, true. I was also gonna bring up I'll save it for another day to talk about, but there has been that talk of Njoku trade. So that would also be an
Oh yeah,
interesting candidate.
yeah.
But all right, we got about a minute and a half left. Anything to add on?
Just my
You get
comment, my draft pick, my draft question. I'll just say it. Um, the team that I thought that made the bonehead pick of the year
Oh,
was the 49ers, when they picked just before us, because all of the Dallas guys were like, please help have a team take that guy with slow feet ahead of us. And then we picked, obviously our our guard
Yeah.
of the future. And so nice to see the 49ers make some bonehead draft
Yeah.
picks.
I totally forgot to add that. My pick was the Cardinals taking Walter Nolan. Another total just yeah, that was insane for them to take him, but that was mine.
Mine's Atlanta trading back into the first round for a defensive end that probably won't be
Yeah.
improved. Yeah.
Yeah. Two defensive ends. Yeah.
Oh
It-
man.
Yeah.
Yeah, there were some interesting things in this draft.